Buenos dias, PASW staff, clients, and friends. And hey now, I don't know how do you say hey now in Spanish. Today is going to be a little bit of a celebration because it's Cinco de Mayo. And so I thought we'd do a little bit of a Mexican class. Why not, right? I'm half Mexican, so I'll half-ass this class, and we'll see if we can get away with the half-ass class. No, I thought it would be fun to look at a genre of music that we haven't really looked at, and today, why not? I have my purple shirt on, and we're ready to, I think, get started. Today we're going to look at the origins and just the style and genre of the music they call mariachi.
Me gusta escuchar los mariachis cantar con el alma sus lindas canciones. Oír cómo suenan esos guitarrones y echarme un tequila con los valentones. Ay, Jalisco, no te rajes, me sale del alma gritar con calor, abrir todo el pecho pa' echar este grito.
Mariachi music it's a genre of Mexican music. It goes back to, well, they're saying the 18th century, but then I'm reading maybe 15th century. We're going to be looking at this evolving in the countryside of various regions in Mexico. Also, forgive even though I'm half, I'm going to be mispronouncing a lot, so just bear with me, because I'm trying my best over here, and I'm alone, so it's I'm scared too. Mostly in the origins of Cocula, Mexico. So that's Jalisco. That's a little place in Jalisco, which is in Mexico. That's where they think mariachi music probably started, around those regions in the 17th and 18th centuries. Let's leave Hollywood. Let's get this map in here. We're going to leave Hollywood. Let's go down to Jalisco. Let's go down south to Mexico. And then let's bring up our timeline. So if what history is correct in saying that it goes back to at least the 18th century, look at mariachi music. This is what's going on in Mexico. We've been talking about the Germans and all these Western white European people, and Italians, Vivaldi, Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Italian, Germans. But what about Mexican people? They're going on in Mexico. Look, mariachi music is really going on during the classical period, which is cool to know. They're not, their music doesn't sound like classical music, it doesn't sound like Bach, but it doesn't mean it's less important. But then they're also saying it also originated when Hernan Cortez invaded from Spain, what is considered modern Mexico, which was in 1519. So this is a long time ago. And so they're saying, what we're going to be hearing, this is the early foundations of mariachi music. And we're going to look, so from 1519 to about 1810, people from Spain, along with slaves from Africa, mingled with hundreds of American Indian cultures going on in Mexico, and to create a new Mexican culture marked by regions like Jalisco and other places. And this music became known as mariachi music. So as early as the 1850s, it emerged from small ranches, small towns in western Mexico, and that's how it came to be. Now, there's going to be different versions of where the word came from, but it's said to come from an indigenous word for the wood that formed the dancing platform, because it's very dance-like music. But why wood? Wood makes a guitar, right? That's how we get a guitar, and that's one of the early forms of mariachi music, early instruments of mariachi music, the guitar. You need the guitar. They didn't add brass or trumpets till way later, till like the 20th century, but we'll get there. So the later half of the 1800s, mariachi evolved into dance music for festive occasions, for birthdays, for couples getting married. So it's an incorporation of Spanish, Mexican, and African influence. Before the Spanish came to, it was mostly the indigenous music there. They were played with drums, right? Drums, flutes, things that you could make kind of from wood, and violins, guitars, and harps and brass, and woodwinds would come later. So it's mostly string instruments. So mostly violins, a harp, guitars. That's what early mariachi music sounds like. And there's many different styles, just like there's different styles of pop music. Rancheras, corridos, cumbias, polkas, waltzes, like we said. And lyrics are what? Most lyrics in songs are about love, right? About things that we talk about, poetry and politics and death and heroes and country life, and the same kind of lyrics that we have in popular music, because this is popular music. This is just in Mexico. Today, for the most part, mariachi groups consist of about as many as 8 violins, 2 trumpets, at least 1 guitar, and then a bass guitar called a guitarrón. Guitarrón is this big guitar, but it's a big bass, and all the players usually take turns singing. Sometimes there's a lead singer. Sometimes they all join in and sing. It's a very kind of democratic way of singing the music.
Anda todo alborotado por volver. Voy camino a la locura y aunque todo me tortura, sé querer. Nos dejamos hace tiempo, pero se llegó el momento de perder. Tú tenías mucha razón, le hago caso al corazón y me muero por volver.
So it's a uniquely Mexican sound. When you hear this, and we hear this all the time, well, because California or Los Angeles is so diverse, and there's tons of great, Mexican food here and Mexican culture here, and we've all been encountered by mariachi groups that perform, but some of it is really fun. And like I said, trumpets didn't really become, until the 20th century, become part of the group, which was news to me, because I always think of the big brass mariachi sound being there forever, but it really wasn't until the last 100 or so years. But what really holds it together, what holds most music together, not the drums, but the bass, and that's the guitarrón. The bass holds it together because the bass provides the chord changes. We're going to look at the harmony. Yes, we're going to have way too much fun in this class. We already are, but we're going to look at the harmony of what the sounds sound like, because we're going to learn, or our thesis together is going to be, the chord changes and the harmony is not different than other things we've heard, but I'll just hold off on that. They're not doing anything different than what we listen to today. Of course you need the dress, the attire. Rock bands need the whole attire, the makeup, the hair, so why can't mariachis do the same? Early mariachis wore peasant garb, and then after the revolution in 1910, uniforms began to emerge, and when the first mariachis could afford to outfit themselves, they chose a suit of the horsemen. So tightly fitted, ornamented pants, a jacket that's kind of short, belts, boots, the wide bow tie, the sombrero. I mean, part of the presentation of the music is what you wear and how you carry yourself with what you're playing. So with radio and television, mariachi music became more popular in the 20th century, from Mexico to the United States to other places, and you're getting more soundtracks, you're getting more things in the 40s and 50s, and you're getting the golden age of Mexican cinema, and so they're going to be showing off their music. So the first mariachi groups in the United States were from California, actually. Nati Cano was born in Jalisco in 1939 and moved to Los Angeles in 1959. And so he plays in tons of mariachi groups as backup singers, and felt mariachi could stand on its own as its own real genre. In 1969, he opens a restaurant called La Fonda in Los Angeles, which is on Wilshire, which the building is still there. And it featured his group, Los Camperos, as part of a dinner show. And so the success of this has inspired many mariachi groups around the United States. So right here in our backyard was a big part, right on Wilshire, right very close to MacArthur Park. This club, they were one of the first mariachi groups to get United States fame from this little dinner restaurant theater. And in the 60s, you get some public schools in the United States offering mariachi as part of, the classes. 1961, University of California, UCLA, they get a program, and and then also in Texas, the first mariachi festival was held. It's very complicated, tricky music to play, as we're hearing. The rhythms are very tricky and complicated. The singing, you need great, not necessarily training, because I'm sure many of the mariachi groups, they don't read music, but that doesn't mean you don't practice or you don't have the training. You can train yourself, obviously. Probably the most famous song, it's not their national anthem, people think it is Cielito Lindo, and not talking about the great taquito place in Olvera Street. Cielito Lindo means sweet sky, and this is one of the most famous mariachi songs.
Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran cielito lindo los corazones.
I have many favorite songs. That one's fun. That one's a classic that you would play. This is the repertoire. I mean, the mariachi musicians, when they perform, they could probably play 500 to 1,000 songs, and they probably play 100 or 200, a night. And they're not reading the music. It's folk music. It's passed on down. They probably change the lyrics sometimes. This is the beauty of folk music, where it's not so rigid to, okay, this is an orchestra, we need to play all the notes on the page. That's fine too for the concert hall, but this is authentic raw folk music. One of my favorites is the Cuckoo Dove. It's a Mexican huapango style. Huapango is a Mexican folk dance and music style. This was written by Tomás Méndez in 1954. Beautiful scene in Almodóvar's Talk to Her film about the mourning dove, which is the lyrics allude to love sickness, and it's gorgeous.
Que una paloma triste muy de mañana le va a cantar a la casita sola con sus puertitas de par en par. Juran que esa paloma no es otra cosa más que su alma, que todavía la espera a que regrese la desdichada.
harmonically, what are we hearing? Are we hearing a lot of chord progressions? No, we're not. Folk music really is simple music. Popular music can be very simple music, and simple is good many times. So we've done a little bit of chord progressions. For the most part, the easiest thing to figure out is the tonic, the 1 chord and the 5 chord, the dominant. The dominant always leads you back to the tonic. So if you hear this and then this, you need to go back home to this, right? So let's just take the C major. C is the tonic, G is the dominant. G dominant always resolves to tonic. We looked at voice leading a little bit because C and then the next note is B, and B is part of the dominant chord, and B, the leading tone, has to lead back to C. It's just in our ears. And what's interesting is that it's not just classical music or Bach that felt that this was right. Mariachi music in Mexico and a whole different part of the world thought that this was right. That music has to fit in this for hundreds of years, and we still have this. So, I mean, if we just look at this mariachi piece, the chords are very simple. They go just from tonic to dominant, as we can see. Sounds familiar, right? Okay, but easy to say. Who else is doing this? Guess what? Guess who's doing it? Mozart's doing it too. Listen to this. These are 2 chords. This is tonic, tonic, dominant, and then back to 1. You can hear. Just listen to this in the Jupiter Symphony. Okay, Mozart is doing what mariachi music is doing, and you're like, okay, great. What about today? Well, I was listening to a little Taylor Swift saying, well, I know Taylor does this. Many examples, but what about her Me song? You know, the me, right? Exclamation point me. Listen to this. Here she's going to the dominant very quickly, but it's leading her back to C. So you can simplify music really with very few chords. Here we're just doing 2 chords, but Taylor Swift is even going to the G to the C, or the dominant to the tonic, resolving it. Mariachi music harmonically is very simple. That's probably why they can play 1,000 songs, because just like my uncles can, they have this great thing where they get out their guitars and they have 2-3 chord songs, sometimes 1 chord songs, and they'll go through 20-30 songs. This is the simplicity of music. Now, what makes it different is the feel, because Taylor Swift sounds nothing like mariachi music, but harmonically they're using very much the same chords. And even Mozart's using the same chords, and many other composers are using the same chords. So really, when you think about it, it's about the style, the feeling of the music, but harmonically, when you break it down on the paper, it looks the same. Now, lyrics, instrumentation, orchestration, that's all embellishment. That's what makes it different. That's why Taylor Swift doesn't sound like mariachi music. So just a little brief history about what kind of music mariachi music is. For Cinco de Mayo, which is, an important thing we should celebrate. I guess I ran out of steam. I guess I said it all. I mean, I'm trying to think. There's so much more to say. Hope you have a nice little Cinco de Mayo holiday today. It's kind of a holiday, I guess, but thought that we would do that. And I didn't even recap what we've done all week. I mean, yesterday was Dvorak, Czech composer. What does Czech have to do with mariachi music? Off the top of my head, I can't think, but I know there's a connection. Tomorrow we're going to go to LA, and then Friday we're going to see film scoring results for The Great Escape. we're having too much fun. You guys are doing such a great job. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for tuning in. My high school teacher, Dan Taguchi, started a mariachi program at my high school, and they did extremely well. Award-winning group, and he deserves a shout out because I was never in the ensemble, but I mean, what he did in playing mariachi music with the students, it was just fantastic. It's a really fun music. And intricate and a little tricky. It's all rhythmic and feel and dance and all that. So I just thought we'd look at harmonically what's going on, chord progression wise, what's going on. Okay. Love you, miss you, and see you tomorrow. Bye.